2021 Utah Jazz. The biggest absolute travesty in the 2021 playoffs, the team got absolutely destroyed, abused, annihilated, and humiliated by the Kawhi Leonard-less Clippers in every manly way imaginable by the 24-year-old once and only Terrence Mann, who left Rudy Gobert wandering in La La Land, put him in that quicksand, an awful game plan. Gobert should have been banned, especially winning 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. The 2-time All-Star got exposed, a liability against the basic small ball lineup, all perimeter guys. The fact that this team had the best regular season record and lost 4 straight games in the semis, 4 straight, one of which at home in Game 5 and Game 6 on the road, blowing a 25-point lead, inexcusable. The team never even lost more than 2 straight this regular season, only to fall 3 straight and then 4 consecutive games in the playoffs to a team that was supposed to be cursed, that never made the conference finals in 50 years until the Rudy got exposed game, while LAC making round 3 for the first time without one of the league's best players the last 2 games. First off, kudos to the Clippers, Paul George, Ty Lue, Terrence Mann, and Reggie Jackson. The Clips were the biggest absolute travesty last year in the bubble, but they deserve all the praise and respect regardless of what happens the rest of the way in 2021. They showed a lot of heart. At one point, Utah went 20-1 in the hottest stretch of the regular season. They didn't even go as far as the 2015 overrated Atlanta Hawks. It's one thing to lose to Kawhi and Paul George, but to lose to a second-year role player who has a promising future, could become an all-star one day, that many casuals never heard of until this postseason, and Reggie Jackson looking like prime Allen Iverson out there. The franchise should absolutely be ashamed of themselves. Yes, there were some injuries. Donovan Mitchell wasn't 100%, but the 24-year-old superstar played his best effort for the series, averaged 35, 5, and 5, was lighting it up from threes, couldn't have played any better. The team got away with getting heavy slack in last year's bubble, blowing a 3-1 series lead to the Nuggets and easily could have closed out Game 5 but blew it. Jokic absolutely outplayed Gobert. It's more and more convincing the Jazz and not the Clippers actually might be the most cursed franchise in the NBA. Fresh off memory from the last dance we all saw during the 2020 pandemic, Michael Jordan's Game 6 of the 98 finals, the go-ahead game winner still haunts the city and the fan base to this very day. The Utah Jazz still not recovered from the devastating results 23 years ago, dominated by number 23, looking like they could have been serious contenders, only to get stopped in round 1, blew a 3-1 lead weeks after the last dance, to blowing a 2-0 lead as the number 1 seed to Paul George, a guy known for his playoff disappointments. Now PG solidified himself as a guaranteed Hall of Famer. From what we can all agree on Rudy Gobert, playing defense like he wasn't there, did nothing but watch the ball fall to the hoop in midair. So confused, didn't know if he was playing truth or dare. The Clippers dared to torch him every way they could. Reggie Jackson, who's been a solid player, rejuvenated his career this season by meeting Gobert at the rim and scoring at will or just to kick it out. Rudy didn't even move to contest, and Ty Lue's perfect game plan makes him one of the most underappreciated coaches, from out-coaching Quinn Snyder and Rick Carlisle in back-to-back series. Would the Clippers have won Game 6 if it was Doc Rivers, the king of 3-1 shivers? I don't think so. Lue took Gobert out of the blue. The man he was guarding made the Defensive Player of the Year the most defeated player of the year. This was as bad as any big getting torched all postseason. The worst center getting exposed by perimeter guys since what the 05 Suns did to Eric Dampier. But Dampier was just a role player who never even came close to becoming an all-star or had any awards. All those advanced stats nerds say, oh, Gobert's having the best defensive regular season all time. Best defensive regular season my ass. He's far from the best defender. This series proved that Rudy should never ever win another DPOY award. The fact that Gobert had no blocks the last 2 games of the series, 0 blocks, was a liability on both ends. There has never been a defensive player in NBA history who's been a liability on D the same season they won the award, except for the Kemba Mutombo guarding prime Shaq in 01, but that's understandable. It's an absolute triple travesty. Rudy Gobert's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year winner, and the greatest power forward all time, Tim Duncan, does not have a single DPOY award. Absolutely insane, mind-blowing, flaw, makes no sense. Even Duncan in his late 30s with the 2013 and 2014 Spurs team, a better defender than Gobert is today, not even close. All these analytic graph charts and numbers, it's all about the eye test, and everybody's seen Gobert get picked on and look confused. In today's modern NBA, anybody who can't guard perimeter players and don't even want to move to the outside to contest shots should not be highly considered to win the award. Regular regular season basketball way different than playoff hoops. It's one thing if guys want to attack a smaller Lou Williams or a JJ Redick type guy who's not very good on defense and make them work, but to attack the supposedly so-called best defensive player in the league time after time after time after time, Quinn Snyder should have subbed him out and went small to match up with the Clippers shooting. It's sad that versatility doesn't get considered as often for DPOY voting. Draymond Green, Ben Simmons, Anthony Davis, and Giannis can all guard 1 to 5. Yes, people gotta criticize the Greek Freak for not guarding Kevin Durant in the Nets series. Since they couldn't afford to get him in foul trouble, they were the healthier team than Brooklyn, won the series as a result. Bam Adebayo and Kawhi Leonard also better defensive players than Rudy. Defense isn't being judged like offense, Draymond says. There's no offensive situation where you don't want Steph Curry on the floor, James Harden, LeBron, all the best offensive players. There's no defensive situation where you don't want me on the floor, and Draymond absolutely correct, very good guarding every position. Gobert doesn't have that movement and look like the Brooklyn Nets DeAndre Jordan out there. The fact that Gobert has more DPOY awards than Hakeem Olajuwon, Dennis Rodman, Kevin Garnett, David Robinson, Sidney Moncrief, an absolute travesty. Seeing what Anthony Davis did on D, closing out smaller guys, made his impact felt in LA's 2020 title run. It doesn't take a genius to see why a healthy AD, a better defender than Gobert. The fact that a zero-time defensive player of the year in Tim Duncan arguably had the greatest defensive lockdown series in the 03 finals doesn't have a DPOY to his name, and Gobert looking like this won the award, getting exposed. Terrence Mann dropped 39 on Rudy, his scoring high in an NBA and college game, posterized Rudy in the series twice. Every time anybody tried to challenge Prime Duncan in the paint, he swatted it. Outside of Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, Kawhi, Reggie Jackson was better than everybody else in this series. Rudy honestly made him look like a superstar. The fact that the Clippers missing their 30+ point scorer in Kawhi to score 81 in the second half of Game 6, shoot 14 of 19 from 3, that's an insane rate even if all the shots were wide open, which many were because Gobert stuck on an island, missed the buyout vet minimum. Nick Batum, 3 blocks, 3 more than the stifle not so delightful tower, who lost all his powers, not so sweet, very sour, from shutting down the whole league. The defensive player of the year also won the defensive social distancing award. Gobert followed protocols, being at least 6 feet away from the 3-point shooters, getting roasted and toasted even without Mike Conley. The Jazz won the first 2. Gobert's block on Morris Game 1 now seems like ancient, very forgotten. They were supposed to win Game 1 anyway, after the Clippers came off Game 7 versus the Mavs from getting dunked on twice by Mann. Nobody will fear Gobert's presence going forward, couldn't take advantage of the smaller lineup on the other end, being over 7 feet, an offensive liability. From getting a 4-year $205 million contract extension the start of the season, Donovan Mitchell's patience will be heavily tested, being in a small market that normally don't attract big free agents. Mike Conley's injury, a disaster, played 26 minutes, 5 points, 1 of 8 shooting, just didn't have it all night. Ingles and Clarkson should play more, relying and dying too much from the 3-point line. Utah went 17 of 30 the first half of Game 5, but just 3 of 24 the second half, including 16 straight misses, went 9 of 25 in the second half of Game 6 from behind the arc. Gobert at 28 years old, likely at the very prime of his career, probably won't get any faster. Jordan Clarkson's a hit or miss, bench not deep enough, offense relies too much on Mitchell, who often bails the team out with his shot making. Conley, set to become a free agent, will be 34 next season. Ingles also aging and wasn't as good as he was in 2018, but Bogdanovich not a good defender either. Other teams simply not going to give up the 3-and-D wings in trades. Utah don't have the cap space to sign a Norman Powell type guy. The team looked like they hit their ceiling. Recent solid 3-and-Ds and Jay Crowder and Jeff Green left in recent years, both balled out this season. The Jazz honestly could have used one of them in replacement of Gobert. From avoiding the Lakers in round 1 to having Kawhi get hurt late Game 4 to dropping the next 2 without him, after the 4th game it appeared the Jazz only real challenge in the West to face Phoenix in the conference finals. Not to mention the Clippers also didn't have Serge Ibaka due to injury. Being in a small market, the Jazz situation already difficult enough. Quinn Snyder did his worst coaching job. Could have tried playing Ersan Ilyasova to match up with Batum. Unless Gobert develops a post game and learns to score on his own to punish smaller guys, he'll continue getting hunted. Royce O'Neal at 6'4", not big enough to guard bigger forwards. With Rudy's fat contract of $35 million next season, 38, then 41, 44, and over 46 for 2026. There were already rumors months ago about Mitchell and Rudy's relationship together. The fact that Gobert will be making more than Anthony Davis in 2023, Devin Booker, and Embiid, the final year of his deal, making $9 million more than Jason Tatum, teammate D Mitch, all those stats nerds out there that believe Gobert was Utah's best player and not Mitchell, absolutely foolish of them. We all know this is 100% Donovan Mitchell's team. Shaq's words aging like wine earlier in January after Gobert got that extension, saying a guy averaging 11 points in the NBA can get $200 million. Let this be an inspiration to kids. Shaq absolutely no respect for Rudy. The franchise will likely win in the low to mid 50s next season, but also likely a first or second round exit. The future remains stagnant. Very disappointing way to go out. What are your thoughts on the Utah Jazz epic 2021 playoff meltdown performance? Are they one of the most overrated #1 seeds all time? Are they just built for the regular season but just not good enough to win it in the postseason? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you want an absolute travesty t-shirt, just click on the link on the description below. I'll give you a shout out for anybody who orders. I truly appreciate your support. With more games coming up in the 2021 postseason conference finals, I'll be making more and more videos for the coming days and weeks, so stay tuned. Once again, truly appreciate your support. I love all of you. See you next time.